this holiday season. There's so many of you, and I just want to add this in here. I've received a lot of cards, letters. I've received gifts. Some of them are very, very nice. Too much, really, for me. I was very surprised to see some of the stuff that you guys sent to me. One of the individuals sent me a DVD version of Larry Williams' course. I told you about coming up. I had a VHS 4 tape thing from him, and I had an opportunity to sit down with Caleb in our theater, and I played it. The transfer from VHS to what they did when they dubbed it, it's not as clear as I remember the VHS being. It is what it is, right? But watching it, and I could say verbatim what he was going to say beforehand, and Caleb was like, "Man, when's the last time you watched this?" I said, "Honestly, shit, like 18 years, maybe 19 years. That's a long time to know still verbatim what the man's going to say." That's how many times I watched it. So when he talked about the section in there to be a specialist, I turned to my son Caleb. I said, "Can you see where I got that from?" Now, when I first heard him say this in 1995, that's when I bought that VHS course. He made the video course in August of 1994 in a little workshop that he filmed with Trade Winds. And then it was put on the market. And because I bought this Yahoo's course, didn't cause me to lose my money, not knowing what the hell I was doing, taking stupid gambling and an orange juice option. By buying that guy's course, the mailing list that he was building, Larry Williams was a purchaser of it. And then I ended up getting Larry Williams shit sent to me in the mail. I was like, well, shit, I'm going to buy his stuff. He made $10,000 turn to $1.2 million in a year. Hey, I want to learn from that guy. And then when I listened to him say this particular thing in 1995, now mind you, this is the third year of my trading coming up. And the things that course and the subsequent interest in buying every book that he put out, that particular moment where he says in that course, the VHS that I was listening to him when my son and I were listening to it just a week ago, he says, "You want to be a specialist." When I first heard it in 1995, it went in one ear out the other, because in my mind, what I took away from his course and his materials was, all right, what Larry's telling me as a fledgling student is I need to be in here trading every one of these fucking markets, and I'm going to catch all the big moves. I'm going to be in every one of them. If coffee's going to go up, I'm going to be in that one. If sugar's going to be, I'm going to be in all of them. But I didn't have the margin to be in any of those. I had to be out of certain markets because I didn't have enough money in my account to even meet the initial margin to trade them. When I first started trading, I didn't have enough margin to even touch an S&P contract. Think about that. And here I was, 20-some years old, thinking, I got to watch all these markets. And I literally was updating the charts for palladium and platinum, pork bellies. What? But that's how I was. I was going hard. I wanted to make sure nobody was going to question me and my tenacity and my desire to be good at this. And I didn't listen. I did not listen to what that man said in that freaking video that made the best impact in my learning curve. When I reduced all the bullshit down to one or two markets, what were they? The S&P and the bond market. Once I started doing that, and I didn't give fuck all what the grain markets did. I didn't care what the meats were doing, live cattle, lean hogs and things like that. They're great markets. There's nothing wrong with them per se, but there's better markets to trade, especially if you're in there looking for short-term setups. And because of my infancy as a trader and just a total neophyte, a goober by all definitions of the word, I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. I couldn't appreciate the good logic that he was sharing, much like some of you. When you listen to me, you think I'm full of shit about certain things. You go out and you try other stuff, or you try doing it sooner. You hurt yourself. Then you come back remorseful thinking, okay, I've been humbled. Let me listen to the man. And all of a sudden now you learn. Okay, well, that's what had to happen to me. But when I'm talking to you like this, I don't want you to feel like you have to go through the same shit that I went through, and other people that like That same mindset, thinking they're going to be the exception. So I turned to my son, Caleb, and I smiled to him. I said, do you see where I got that from? That moment right there, I had to come back after my fifth account, as a 20-year-old, thought I knew what the hell I was doing. And when I was doing it the right way, I wasn't satisfied. I wanted to do more, and pushed and pushed and pushed, and I'd blow the account. And I was trying to do too many other things. I wanted to be in the metals. And instead of just picking the one metal to be in, I was trying to be in platinum, palladium, and high-grade copper. For what? That's dumb. If you're going to be a metals trader, trade silver or gold. Done. If you want something that's going to be a mega trade, if high-grade copper goes into a premium, and what I mean by that is the nearby contracts sell for more now than they do in the future. That's a backwardization. It's a reversal of a carrying charge market. That whole premise, and I'll talk about this in the core content, which I learned specifically directly right from Larry Williams, and shit still works today. If anybody tells you it doesn't work, they're full of shit. That stuff is, that's the brass tacks. Okay. If you're going to be a commodities trader, if you don't know about that, then you don't know what you're doing. But the point is, I told my son Caleb, I said, that moment of losing multiple accounts and realizing that I'm doing too much. I was successful here and there and had stints of progress and equity increase. And then all of a sudden when I was trying to do more, why? Because I saw some asshole on America Online. He had his little stupid ass webpage. It was dumb. You think my webpage is generic and stupid. This guy was even worse. He had a picture of a hammock. Okay. Like a cartoon hammock, and Dean Caribbean Trader. That was his thing. Okay. And you click on his shit and you read his newsletter. And that's what we did back then, was newsletters. And I was like, he's saying he made $15,000 trading the S&P yesterday. Now, I didn't see this man take this trade. He's not even showing a fucking chart. Like, he's not doing anything. He just said he did it. So here I am, gullible Huddleston. I'm thinking, okay, well, this guy, I got to do this too. So I'm now going to go into the S&P. Now, mind you, I've been initially trained by Larry Williams, Mr. S&P himself. That wasn't enough of an influence. I had to see this goober, okay, that just said he made 15,000 and 12,000 and 8,000. When he had losses, it was only like $150 or $200. So I'm thinking to myself, this guy knows something. That shit was me trying to run up with somebody else on social media. Now, that was the beginning, infant stages of social media. Okay, America Online, that was we the whole dollar, modem, the handshaking that modems used to do, all that stuff, charging you by the minute type shit. That kind of experience, we were cowboys, mavericks in the internet. Like everybody now, little kids and like our nieces, they're small. They have cell phones. They have the iPhone and shit, and to me, I think they're too young to have it. But hey, they're not my kid. It's not my business, but I could talk to you because I'm not around them, and their mother, whatever. It is what it is, right? Everybody's got their own opinion. But back in the 90s, that's when the internet was born, right? And that whole influence of social media, because I was young, I was very impressionable because I've had this chip on my shoulder. I had to prove myself. So when I saw this guy out here, all he was doing was typing that he did this. Never showed a chart, just did the whole thing. And I'm thinking to myself, that's what I want to do. Like, I want to do that. And if I'm having an impact on you wanting to be like me, like when I shared that trade today, or anytime I share a trade, I want you to think about the logic that I'm doing. Don't look at what I'm showing as a trade result. Don't let that be the driver. Let the management, the placement of my entry, and the stop management, and where I take partials, let that be the driver for what you want to try to be like me with. Take the money out of it. Okay. The whole business of having that money there, that is the little hook that I use. Now, I don't advertise. Okay. But when I was on Twitter years ago, I would literally do this over and over and over again, show example after example.